I
All
really
right.
like I really like the helmet on the L for some reason in Kingsfield.
It's
I
pretty
don't know
good.
why. That's a real. That
The
feels like a real like late '90s kind of.
this came out in 2001, so you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Um, so this came out in 2001. Age Tech used to be called ASCII Entertainment. Age Tech is basically ASCII Entertainment's American arm, or was, because it disappeared in the mid aughts. Um, and as we know, as you might know, ASCII Entertainment is basically who started FromSoft on their game development thing. In Japan, ASCII Entertainment had the rights to Wizardry, and they funded the Wizardry OVA anime.
Okay.
And let me turn this down some more. Wrong thing. I always
Jake said a drum beat just matched the music coming out of the game, and now he's gonna make a. I'm just gonna say this for him. He's gonna make a Kingsfield mixtape. That's what I want to
awesome.
see.
There's
Immediately happen.
I know Alex Rowe did a remix of the main theme from this game called
Yeah.
Dark Realities. Yeah, and it's like the Halo theme for this game. But yeah, so like I was saying, ASCII Entertainment held the rights to Wizardry, which was the computer game that like exploded in Japan that's based off of AD&D. There was an anime that they built from that, and pretty much at the same time they funded FromSoft to make Kingsfield 1, which never came out in America, but Kingsfield 1 basically launched with the PlayStation 1 in like 95-ish.
Is the Wizardry anime any good?
I've only seen like 10 minutes of it. It's on YouTube, but I've only seen like 10 minutes of it. I think Richard's seen all of it.
Yeah, but Richard watches garbage, so he's not really a good.
Not...
I've seen the things that man watches that he puts himself through. It's not good.
So I've seen pretty much the beginning of this game and the end of this game, but I'm pretty much blind as far as anyone's concerned. Kingsfield does a lot of lore in its manual, so I'm gonna let the CGI opening start, and then I'll read the story in the American manual, if that's cool for everybody.
We're having like a reunion, like a high school reunion, and you're it's just a dream right now. Everyone's just really excited to see everybody else.
Oh, it's awesome. We're doing a new game. Alright, so brightness. So the menus are going to be a little bit blurry. I've never been able to fix that.
The cursed land lies deep in a dense, colorless forest. Hidden within this land is an ancient city, once known to the forest folk as the Holy Land. Buried in the depths of the city, a warning was discovered long after the rulers have fallen. Grave misfortune will befall those who behold the idol that stares into the darkness. The idol, taken from the ancient land, led the kingdom down a path of destruction. The idol must be returned. Under a dark and cloudy sky, the Swordmaster led his men to the ancient land. The cursed land swallowed the soldiers, and all that remained was dark silence.
Okay, welcome to Kingsfield, the ancient city. That basically sets you up for the game. So, yeah, Kingsfield, where your controllers... I swear I tested to have this stuff. But, I actually played through, like, a little bit of this opening just to make sure it worked and stuff like that. But that opening CGI is basically what you would get if you just played, like, just the disc, if you just found the disc. But I found the manual. And back in the day, most of the story was put into the manuals for FromSoft game, and this isn't just the American ones. This was also in the Japanese ones, which I think is why it was so important that FromSoft put all of their Japanese manuals for their self-published games on their website. So, because, like, the story is in the manual. And this is kind of long, so I'm just gonna read this stuff as quickly as possible, just so that people have an idea of what's going on. So here's the story. Towards the western edge of the barren land, at the foot of the high peaks within the Moradi Mountains, lies a land found in the shadows of a dark and misty forest. Once the land was referred to as the Holy Land, and it was blessed by the grace of fertile soil and a giving sun. There came a time long ago when the skies in this area became perpetually obscured by a shroud of dark clouds. The Holy Land became deserted. The people of this land, known as the Forest Folk, built an underground city, and they have lived there ever since. Knowledge of this once great land has faded amongst the remaining kingdoms. Even now, only a few of the wise men remember tales of the Holy Land. The place is now referred to as simply the Land of Disaster. One day, a ceremonial idol, representing the highest ideal of peace, was presented to the king of the small country Helidon. Moved by the gesture of the gift, the king, Lucian IV, decreed that the idol would have a permanent home in his throne room. At once, the kingdom of Helidon began a quickening spiral of decay. The king's sages were asked if they could discover the source of the curse that had befallen the kingdom. The sages uncovered the legend of an idol of sorrow that was said to originate from the mysterious forest folk from the Land of the Disaster. The sages attributed the fall of the Land of Disaster to the cursed idol of sorrow, and believed that the idol received by the king Lucian was indeed this item. The people of Helidon organized an expedition to return the wretched idol to the Land of Disaster in the hopes of breaking its curse. With the highest hopes, the team of adventurers, led by the famous sword master, set out on their expedition and tragically were never seen again. On a storm-swept night, Prince Devian of Azalin was visited by the strange wanderer. The hooded figure presented the prince with an idol and informed him to return this idol to the Land of Disaster so that the other kingdoms do not succumb to its wicked curse. Because of his friendship with the sword master, Prince Devian knew of the expedition sent from Helidon to return a cursed idol, but had not heard the outcome. Feeling the burden of the quest to rid the land of the wicked idol, the prince set out for the Land of Disaster and the ancient city that lies within its dark forest. Prince Devian was also aware of the dangers inherent in traveling in a realm that has been reclaimed by nature's fury. So there's your prologue, for the most part. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to show you the meanest thing FromSoft loved doing in the early games. Let's see if I can get it to ping.
P.S. Please ignore known liar Brian Wade in the chat, saying that I was not paying attention.
Yep. And... Yep, pretty much.
That is hilarious. So is that just a casual step to the right?
Yeah, it's a casual step to the right. Every FromSoft game in the early days did that.
Yeah, I remember that from, is it Shadow Tower that you can just fall off if you walk backwards? Or Shadow Tower this? Yeah.
Shadow Tower,
I'm trying to think of modern From examples that do this. Like obviously in Dark Souls, you know, there's the first boss or like the first easy to get to area that will kill you. But I don't think Bloodborne has anything like that. I feel like if you just start up Bloodborne, you can just kind of just go. Like there's no like beginner traps.
There's no take a casual step to the right and you're dead immediately.
Exactly.
There's none of that. Every single one of the Kingsfield games, Shadow Tower games, they all have that.
It's interesting too because I feel like that kind of sense of humor that where someone would laugh at dying in that kind of manner wouldn't be prevalent among gamers until much later, right? Like that kind of like that happened to me now with any game that I played. Like if I was playing a 2D platformer and I walked to the left and I immediately died, like that would get a chuckle out of me. But I feel like in like the late 90s to early 2000s that like people would just get mad at that.
So yeah, every FromSoft game in the beginning, except until it comes up to like Demon Souls, had these things where if you're like trying out the controls for the first time, because the controls we'll get over those in just a second, but the controls are weird. But if you're like sitting there learning the controls, it will kill you. Because Shadow Tower will spawn you in, and where you start from is a very thin little bridge, and you take one step to the left or right, you fall right off of it. So it's like it's punishing you for trying out the controls. And it's the funniest stupid thing. And you can see out there that there's a green grass right there. So you go, sure. Oh hey, there's a green grass, I'm gonna go pick that up. And then you just die because you can see controls. I have to get used to them again from like playing Dark Souls. That little gray patch is where you fall right in. And so you decide to go straight for that green grass right there, and you just fall right in and die and have to start over.
I'm going to be honest, that gray stone just looks like floor to me. Like it doesn't. There's no indication of warning to me at all looking at this.
Oh, and of course, and I'm running this at 6 times resolution. So you can just imagine what this runs at like out of a real at a real PS2.
At 128p.
At 128p, and like 1000p. We don't know what 1000p is. Also, Kingsfield, the original Kingsfield, came out during a time when the PlayStation didn't have DualShock sticks. Yes, there was a time when your DualShock didn't have sticks on it. So they kept that control scheme all the way through Kingsfield 4. So to look up and look down is your R2, L2 buttons. L2, R2. Strafe left, strafe right is your R1, L1 buttons. I have it set up through the emulator that I can use the sticks, and I'm gonna use the sticks because I'm just too used to using sticks. But when you're playing this for the first on a PS2 or a PS1, you're gonna have to learn how to use your D-pad again. Holy crap, a D-pad!
When I tried to emulate Shadow Tower Abyss, my emulator would allow me to reconfigure those buttons so that I could use the stick. Yeah. It would only let me use them once. So I could either look up the entire time I played or look down, but I couldn't. I had to choose one of the two. That was the limitation. So needless to say, I did not play that game.
Shadow Tower Abyss actually has the Dark Souls controls in it, like natively. It's under Type 4 or Type 4 inverted. Those are actually the Dark Souls controls.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Like, it defaults to the Kingsfield controls because its fan base at the time were used to the Kingsfield controls, and I think they had a fit when they started messing around with the controls. But like, if you play Shadow Tower Abyss, go to Type 4 controls, and you'll thank me later. But we don't have that in Kingsfield. So as you know, there's a lot of things that I'm going to point out that are the same or not from like Demon Souls and Dark Souls and stuff like that. There it is. So I'm going to change something on the menu button because
I just saw a punch.
It freaks out on emulation. So this is your... Let's just start with like what you know and what you have. You have your experience, your level, your HP, your MP, your physical, your magical, your gold, and your condition. Your condition will list all the status effects you've got going on. You can load, and your key configs, which doesn't help any. You can look at your magic in here. Well, we don't have magic yet because we haven't found the Bracelet of Clarity. Here you can equip your weapons and the like. Again, menus freak out in emulation. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. You have, just like in Dark Souls, you've got a weight ratio. Unlike Dark Souls, being overburdened does hurt a lot. So you've got your status and your journal and a range. Your journal, it will keep your bestiary in there and stuff you've got to do. Ah, controller, why?
Does it keep disconnecting you?
It keeps disconnecting the controller. That's kind of why I turned off system sounds, because you'd hear it all the time. So,
Gotcha.
The first thing is we've got to pick up this here green grass.
Because it's a From game, so it has to have some green grass somewhere.
Yeah, and it has to heal you. Yeah, exactly.
Of course.
Because it's a FromSoft game. I'm glad you understand that now. Because it's a FromSoft game, it has to have green glass. Also, because it's a FromSoft game, it has to have lava. Because emulation forgets that it exists, this should be lava. So here is our first sign. It's a shop with David Bunch in it. So what questions do you have from looking at the UI? Because I'm sure there are some.
The condition thing that you kind of breezed over it, but like, is that going to be like what kind of available like conditions can you get yourself into, and are those permanent, or can they be treated with various items and such?
You kind of already know what they are: poison, curse, bleed, and stuff like that. Let me actually pull out the manual and let me go over all of those because they're in here.
Is there, someone's asking if there's also a poison swap, but
oh, of course there's a
I think he meant poison swamp, that poison swap, which is a totally different thing.
There's always a poison swamp in FromSoft games. It's not just like a Miyazaki thing. It's a Naotoshi Zin thing too. I'm pretty sure there is. Yeah, there is. Actually, we'll be in the poison area very soon because it's like the first level in this game. Secret doors. There's illusory walls, by the way. There's traps. Mimics in this game aren't mimics that you know of. They will bust out with an enemy instead because they've been waiting for that one time for you to open that door, for them to jump out and be like, yo! Alright, so conditions. We have poison. Your character becomes poisoned and your hit points decreases for a limited time. It's kind of a nomenclature because at like the poison area is the first level and it will kill you. Paralyze is dark magic consumes your character and he is unable to move for a limited amount of time. Paralyze will kill you in this game. It's like you might as well just reload the save. Dark is darkness gathers around your character, making it difficult to see. The whole game screen dims on you. Curse. Your character's physical and magical power weakens along with your hit points and magic points. It functions exactly like it does in Dark Souls.
Okay.
Lethargy, which is new for Souls veterans. Your character's movement is slowed, making it hard to move about. And silence. Your character's magic power is sealed and cannot be used. Your character levels up automatically. You have no say in how they level up. Actually, you kind of do. That's wrong. It levels up according to what you use the most. So if you punch things a lot, it will level that up first.
Yeah. That's an Elder Scrolls thing, right? Like
Yeah.
I've not played the Elder Scrolls games, but I vaguely remember hearing that.
I've actually never played them either. Like, yeah.
We are bad video gamers.
We are bad.
What are we doing on Twitch?
What are we doing here? I don't understand. We're professional Twitch streamers.
I'm telling you. Are you going to collect items that you then equip in your inventory as well? Like, are you going to get weapons and things like that?
Yes, you start off pretty much naked in the game. And then we're going to talk...
in real life.
Just like in real life. And we're going to talk to this guy. Hi, this guy. I'm from Helidon. My fellow soldiers went to the ruins. Yeah? We were sent here to help rid our country of the curse. You don't look very well equipped. Here, take this. And you don't get it, but it's that club over there. It's kind of weird. In this land are the underground ruins called the Ancient City. The expedition team was sent there. I became ill while we were camped out here. Who are you? Doesn't matter. You can't be of much importance since you're here. And we already know this guy's the guy we're playing is a prince. So, this guy lives under a rock, I guess. This land is swarming with monsters. Be careful. And that's that.
Very much, as was called out in the chat, very much a crestfallen.
Yeah, he's crestfallen.
Kind of thing.
He is literally the crestfallen of Kingsfield 4. So we got ourselves a fighty stick.
I don't have my audio on for obvious reasons. Is this voiced at all?
No, it's not voiced. That's why I was reading it.
Okay. That's what I thought, so I was just making sure. I'm going to need you to go ahead and put some nails in the top of that club to make it reinforced.
We need to make this thing reinforced. So, how does... The thing... Stamina doesn't become stamina that we know of until Shadow Tower Abyss. Shadow Tower Abyss changes the power bar into different, like, number of moves you can make before you have to stop making moves. Which becomes stamina bar in Dark Souls and stuff like that. In every game before that, you have the stamina bar isn't stamina, it's power. And this is the same in Evergrace, this is the same in all the Kingsfield games, this is the same in Shadow Tower 1. If you look at the UI, the top straight bar that's red is your power bar. If you have a full bar, you can do full damage. If you only have half of the bar when you take a swing, you only do half that damage. So this slows down combat considerably. So the strategy with combat is you hit once, you strafe around with your L1, R1 buttons, which is basically your dodge roll. And then you wait for that red bar to fill back up before you hit again. So that's why Kingsfield is considered very slow, because you have to sit there and wait. So what I kind of do is I just kind of wait. I just back up. And I do that. And
I'm just now catching up, and it takes a long time for your stamina to recharge too.
It will speed up as the game continues. Oh, look at this boy. He's like, I'm not here.
This is well, I think I might be a little bit behind you. I'm still looking at the Leaf Boy.
Yeah, Leaf Boy. Leaf Boy is your first, like, real enemy. Them and the Roly-Poly Boys. So I'm going to go over to the save point, because I know where the save point is. This is, like, the only save point I know exactly where it is, because of testing and stuff. So here's your save point. I'm going to wait for that to come up. Let's save this on 2.
there's a debate where the in the chat where the plot of Dark Souls came from, and either it was this game or Jake's life is the current debate.
Huh.
Does this dude have an upside down face? Is that what I'm looking at?
He has 3 eyes. Yeah, he looks like a Cthulhu.
Oh, 3 eyes. Okay, I thought he was just. I thought that was his mouth on the one in his forehead. So.
Yeah, it's like 3 eyes. He's
That makes way more sense than what I was thinking.
hooded. So. He's got wings. Essentially, Dark Lurker is a reference to Seath, which is something not a whole lot of people realize unless they've played Kingsfield, because in Kingsfield, Seath looks like Dark Lurker. Just putting that out there.
Someone just said cute Thulu, which I think is
a
very nice portmanteau. I like that.
Cute Thulu. So now that we've saved, we can kind of explore this area. I need to figure out where the front of this stupid thing is. Is it over here? No. So your first goal really is to get clothed. And there's a bunch of different treasure chests around here that will have your first set of clothes in it. So that's our gloves. And so you want to scroll down to hands and then scroll left and right for your gloves. And now we are equipped with gloves. Hooray!
Now, is this increasing your like physical resist, or is this increasing your HP? Like, what are we doing?
Physical. Now our physical is at 5 because we have gloves on. Go down to status. You can see the full status thing. We can see what our hit and our slash is: stab, fire, earth, wind, water, light, and dark. I don't want to overwhelm you with all of that information quite yet, but
yeah,
it's pretty similar to like Souls in that like there's like Shadow Tower Abyss has way more stats than Souls ever will. And half of those are just redundant, but for magic, really.
Okay.
So let's get a little bit of lore here. Because it's a FromSoft game, spiders.
Oh no. Hopefully Z Chocobo is not in the chat. Z Chocobo was so terrified of spiders he had to summon me in Bloodborne to get past the spider chapel.
Oh no! Also, the Swordmaster is a reference to this game too in Dark Souls 3.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure Swordmaster is a reference. Although, I think it's a tongue-in-cheek kind of reference. But the expedition held a spider crest as its thing. So...
Yeah, during the intro, the CGI intro, I didn't want to talk over it, but all the soldiers were carrying shields with that spider emblem, and it looks...
Yeah.
I mean, you put a spider on a shield, and it's going to kind of look all the same, but just obviously reminded me of the spider shield from Dark Souls 1.
Yeah. Could be a reference, could not be a reference. I mean, spiders are like a FromSoft trope. Like, in that they're everywhere. So we're going to continue looking around for some clothes before we even make our way into the first dungeon. And so this is actually kind of a bit of a puzzle too, until you realize
it's always the damn spiders
that you can just fall down. Now we're gonna take a bunch of damage, but we're not gonna completely die. Here's your lava, by the way.
Ooh, lava's pretty. A couple of people have mentioned that this looks surprisingly good for a PS2 game. I know you're up-resing this, but up-resing isn't the catch-all thing that I think a lot of people think it is. So, like, this game has to kind of naturally look good for up-resing to make it look this good.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the artifact errors from emulation, which is like the lines in the lava and in the sky. Those are actually not supposed to be there, but it does look great. And I am uprising this because I can. But
Sure.
oh, I missed it. You're supposed to just drop. So we're gonna load.
She's gonna get it done.
You can do it. I believe you can do it.
I don't think that she has a computer. I think that she has a rig. So I think she has like the full-on gaming rig.
Yeah, this is I spent my tax refund on this thing. It's got a GTX 1070 on it.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. But you also have a rig.
Yeah, it's got lights on it, which is how you know it's a rig.
Exactly right. You'll have to share your battle station with this later.
Oh yeah, I mean I think you can probably look it up. It's an Aurora R7 Alienware.
Yeah.
So they all kind of look the same.
I bought a Alienware computer in 1998.
So before they were Dell.
Before they were Dell, yeah. It had an NVIDIA card that had like 16 megs of graphic memory on it, and then it also had two 3DFX Vutus in it that were like SLI or whatever they call it, SLI back then. I don't really remember. That was the highlight of my PC_gamer career.
PC, yeah. All right, so that's how you're supposed to do that, but. And the reason you come all the way over here is for some shoes.
Astrolay says hers doesn't have any lights. It's just a pure black tower, which honestly sounds more intimidating.
I think that sounds pretty great, actually.
It just appeared from the sky like we were in 2021, and then started playing.
Oh god!
For me.
That's awesome.
If Alienware designed computers as if they were the monolith, I would probably be more interested in buying them. I don't need a lot of lights in my room.
Just trying to turn around.
Oh, I'm still watching you equip feet, so I'm like you said, I'm a little bit behind you.
You're like 20 seconds or so.
What does I noticed that you obviously have an equip load. We're at almost half of that right now with only boots and gloves on. What happens when we reach that equip load?
I don't remember. It's debilitating in Shadow Tower Abyss. Like you'll slow down. You won't be able to like walk very very quickly, and it starts killing your health very slowly, sort of as if you're like poisoned.
Oh wow. Okay.
So that's Shadow Tower Abyss. It's really debilitating, and it's really annoying.
Decoy Black Mage is saying that we are now a naked dude with boots, glove, and a club. Which honestly, like that's a look.
Yeah, it's kind of a look. So we're gonna use that herb now that we took that scripted full. And we're gonna equip our hat.
You have so little health right now, it's making me very nervous.
Yeah, like health is.
Oh, there you go. You're healing up.
Yeah, it's pretty much scripted to take that much health. Like, it's super hard at the beginning, this game, because of how little health you have, with all the scripted, like, traps that you have to do to get some stuff in order. I'm gonna take a moment to save this again.
Stone Ager says hello.
Hi! Stone.
You would think the prince of a country was capable of bringing armor when sneaking off. Look, if you're gonna sneak away from your weird dad, then you gotta leave all your stuff behind.
You gotta do the opposite of the safety dance. I mean, you don't even have any gold, which is like a thing.
Yeah, you would think that you would at least come with a little bit of gold and a pager.
At least a pager. I mean, it is 2001. So there was a pathway that we ignored to get our helmet. We're gonna take that now. There's gonna be a lot of looking at walls and looking at the floor because of how the control system works.
It was because of this that these games weren't particularly well received in the West, right? Like nobody really figured this stuff out except for like a hardcore fan base.
Yeah, there was a hardcore fan base. I mean, we were talking about we talked about this a little bit before the rest of the game for the Twitch stream. There's a hardcore fan base, very similar to how hardcore we are about Souls. In that they've been around since the mid 90s. And to the point where H-Tech used to like name NPCs in their localization after people in the community. And
nice.
Even today, like in 2000, FromSoft released the engine for Kingsfield, which is called Sword of Moonlight. So the game engine is released, and if you're like a budding game designer, you might want to take a look at it. And even today, people like that hardcore fan base are making Kingsfield games, like fan-made Kingsfield games. And I know I mentioned this earlier before the stream actually started, but there is a VR Kingsfield being worked on by somebody in that community. So if you've got like VR, you can give that a quick look-see. And yeah, I mean, it came out in the mid-90s, the early aughts. And like translation wasn't as good as it is now, as Decoy Black Mage mentions. So a lot of like the story and stuff kind of got lost in translation.
Bye, Jake. Thank you for joining the stream.
Jake, and, have fun.
Decoy is also agreeing with you about the translation, which is pretty rough. Or as they say, really wonky.
Yeah, I mean, H-Tech, despite the fact that H-Tech was very close and in bed with FromSoft for a long time, via their Japanese overlords, like, H-Tech didn't have a whole lot of money. And when Armored Core started commanding a lot of cash, to the point where only, like, AAA publishers were publishing Armored Core, which happened in, like, maybe 2005. Oh, that was the wrong button. That, like, which happened with, like, what, Armored Core 4? Ah, man. I'm gonna have to heal.
Again, I'm obviously a little while behind you, but, man, this is the kind of thing that I think in 2001, when this game came out, I was 21. I would have not been very cool with playing this. Like, I don't know that I would have had the patience to go through this kind of combat system.
Yeah, I mean, it had its... A lot of people who played this game were adherent since, like, 94.
Yeah. Astral Ace is saying that you mentioned people porting the Sword of Moonlight engine to VR systems, that she's looking forward to playing Deracine. She's going to have to borrow someone's PSVR to get it. I might be a little bit, and I might be wrong for this, but I might be a little bit more excited for Deracine than I am at Serico right now, just because I think that's going to be something like really unusual and interesting.
Very unusual, very different. And FromSoft loved doing weird, unusual games. Like, they would make a game for like a new console just to see how that console worked. See also Frame Gride for Dreamcast.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was just a game that they did because the Dreamcast was new and they wanted to like get experience working on it. And like that happened a lot. They were always down for making a game for a random console, which is, I guess, why like Microsoft would ask them later to make something for the Xbox, which came out to be Metal Wolf Chaos, which I'm also excited for.
I am too. Yeah, I'm because I never had an opportunity to play that game, and I was always kind of holding out for an eventual port because there were some rumors going around for the last couple of years. So I kind of held off from doing any of the LPs that are out there for it. So it's going to be a whole new experience for me.
Oh yeah, like I never had an Xbox. Like I never dealt with Xbox because like the original Xbox turned me off from its terrible controller. I have small hands, and the Duke was not my friend back then.
Yeah, I borrowed a friend's Xbox for a little while because he wanted me to play Morrowind, and so I immediately got the Xbox and put in the Soul Calibur 2 disc and just played Soul Calibur 2 until he wanted his Xbox back and never touched Morrowind.
Yeah, like the original Xbox, like its controller, I never got along with it. There's a reason why I'm saving so often, but
it's funny you mentioned their relationship with Microsoft and like the Metal Wolf Chaos, and then later with the 360 and the Kinect, they would go on to do that Kinect Steel Battalion.
Yeah, they did a lot of Xbox games in the 360 era.
Which is strange because I think a lot of people associate FromSoftware with like Demons and Dark Souls and primarily being a PS3 publisher, but that's not really, or a PS3 developer, but that's not really the case.
Like they did a lot of PlayStation games, and like you said, they were kind of associated with that because PlayStation was like the new exciting tech back then in 90 whatever it was. But like Xbox had some new and exciting tech during Generation 7, which is what, the 360 PS3 era, and so they did a lot of games for the 360. Like Otogi was Murakumo Rogue Assault, which is a bad game but is named for the Murakumo, so there you go. Steel Battalion, like you mentioned, they did a lot of games for the 360, and I think partially because like the 360 had weird new technology that they wanted to get experience on just in case.
A couple more comments about Daracine. Astrolace says that her and her friend Vodka have been trying to read the storybook and the promotional imagery, but they can't make anything out past the second page, or on the second page, unfortunately. And Decoy Blackmage is saying that Daracine looks like an Echo Knight title, which is something that I've seen you say a couple of times, and I absolutely agree with.
Yeah, Echo Knight. Here's your daily reminder that Echo Knight is $5 on the PSN store, and if you have a Vita or a PS3, you can play it right now.
I really thought you were going to say scroll down underneath the stream and you'll find a link to Echo Knight on PSN for $5.
I very well might. When this goes on YouTube, I very well might put that link in there. Echo Knight is a Kingsfield-like. I mean, it uses the Kingsfield controls, but there is no combat. So there's like the combat buttons are all turned off or whatever. And they use different methods of how like encounters work, especially in Beyond. Beyond puts Richard in space, or Ricard, as everybody in Souls will know him. Puts Ricard in like in space, looking for his fiance. But you have to keep him healthy by keeping his like heartbeat not freaking out. So that's how that works.
Keep him chill.
Yeah.
Astrolace said that if you do put the link to Echo Knight in, that you should put it so that if you put the promo code Skelly in, you get a further $1 off.
It's $5, guys. Put it in. Play some Echo Knight.
Get that $5. Yeah.
Give that $5
Brian,
to FromSoft.
Atoji was on the original Xbox, and Signal Ton Salt. Oh, I am terrible. I'm so sorry, Signal. I'm just going to call you Signal. I do believe you do have plans to port this over to your YouTube channel, correct?
Yes. I'm actually recording. I should be recording it. I hope I'm recording it. And then professional Twitch streamer right here. If not,
if she's not recording the video, I'll release the audio as a special bonus episode of Don't Give Up Skeleton. So.
or I'll just have Twitch like send the full VOD over.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's true.
Um, so yeah, here's our shopkeeper. We already read like his shop name before. It's David. He's like, hey, it's a customer. How odd. And so you can take the gold you just stole from him, the all 80, and you can buy a few things. So let's take a quick look. We don't need to buy anything, but here's a look at things. Herbs, which is your standard green grass. Standard FromSoft green grass, anyway. Antidote, which is a bigger green grass. Here's your mushroom for this game. Mushrooms are they're MP restores. In old FromSoft games, mushrooms were always associated with magic, for the most part. Except Evergrace. Mushrooms gave you like a coupon to the shopkeeper. Like you gave the shopkeeper, who was like this like beaver thing, a mushroom, and he would give you like some percentage off of whatever you bought next. But mushrooms mostly were magic oriented. Here's your short sword, your morning star, leather shield, iron helmets, leather vest. We'll be finding this as we continue. But yeah, you can also try and sell the Idol of Sorrow, because that's a thing, but it'll come back to you somehow.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, you can try and sell it, but it'll come back to you. Yeah. So, like, can you imagine this prince just trying to sell off the Idol of Sorrow, and he's like, my quest ends here, I can sell this off. Yeah, I keep making fun of the fact that Dark Souls 2 is basically this game for...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what Decoy is saying, that Dark Souls 2 used a lot of these items. Basically, most of these items. Astral Aces was kind of shocked that mushrooms could be used as coupons, and also says that PS2 era games will always be my favorite. It gave us some classics like Rule of Rose, Kuan, and Fatal Frame.
Yeah.
Rule of
agree.
Rose is a game that I watched someone stream and just absolutely fell in love with it. I thought it was just fascinating. And then called my classic games buddy to see if I could find a copy, and was like, whoa, and did exactly the same thing with Kuan when I started watching you play Kuan. And they called my classic games buddy. It was like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. I'm not going to be able to buy that anytime soon.
So here's a place we can't go. Sell water. I mean, we can, but it's not really advisable. So we're going to explore elsewhere. Oh, yeah. Kuan and Rule of Rules are super expensive because survival horror had its home on PS2, but like survival horror didn't get long print runs, so they're super rare now. And thank you for that follow.
Picklefax is saying that he's been playing a bunch of Doom for the last few days, so this game is extremely slow in comparison.
Oh yeah, it's extremely slow in comparison to everything, but like it gets meditative.
Astral Ace wants somebody to geek out with her on Rule of Rose when she emulates it, so I'll definitely be helping you out there. If you stream that or you put it up on YouTube, like I bet you'll get some bunch of people. Motor Immuna has a question, or a muse. Kingdoms. I can't talk today. I'm sorry. Kingsfield Souls lore muse. The Witta and the Manserpents. Same thing. Same thing.
I'm pretty sure that same. Like at least they're a reference. There's a lot of like FromSoft loves making references, and this is why I don't think like the complaint about 3 being reference city is genuine. Because FromSoft will reference their past games at every turn in every game. Like I'll be pointing out a whole bunch of like different tropes, and so the Witta are probably a big reference. I mean, the snake man serpents in Dark Souls 1 are probably a huge reference to the Witta.
Didn't they show up in the Demon Souls when they started breaking open the unused enemies? Wasn't there a man serpent in there as well?
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't doubt it. So let's talk to this guy. Hey, I'm talking to you, dude. I'm hitting the X button in front of you. Oh.
Oh, this is Bridge Smith Gilligan, I'm sure.
Bridge Smith Gilligan, yeah. I had no idea things were like this. Is there any other way? My wife is waiting for me on the other side of the cliff. And that's that. So he's crestfallen. He's trying to get that way. We're trying to get that way. But for now, there's this mean little herb that we're gonna get.
Astral is asking if that was Stan Lee that you were just talking to.
It's definitely Stanley. It's definitely Stanley.
So, from what you know of this game, do the NPC quest lines work similarly to the way that Souls veterans kind of expect them? That you see them,
yeah,
kind of over the course of the game, and none of them have good endings.
Yeah, I mean, Kingsfield does have good, like, an obviously good ending. Although to get that, you have to get the Moonlight Greatsword. And I think you have to fulfill a couple other things, but there is an unabashedly good ending in Kingsfield 4. But I think NPC quest lines are a little bit more ambiguous. So we're done over here.
Someone is asking if you have already done or have plans to do Eternal Ring.
I started Eternal Ring, and I know everybody here was there, and I need to finish it. I actually own that game twice. Hooray for me. Because I bought it, I was at the retro... The story is, I went to the retro game store, and I was like, just looking over their wares, just to see what they had and stuff. And I found a couple of, obviously, FromSoft games, so I bought them immediately. And then I find out that Eternal Ring is on their PS4.
Yep.
So I bought that again. So, yeah. I own Eternal Ring twice. Which is fine, because, you know, I own the manual for Eternal Ring American, so I refer to that sometimes. Yes! Eternal Ring is on PS4. It was slyly released because... Here's the thing. Eternal Ring was one of the launch titles for the PS2. So I suppose they wanted to have all of the launch titles on that PS2 to PS4 emulation program thing. Just out of history's sake.
That makes sense. Okay.
Because like PlayStation would always go over to FromSoft and like, hey, we have some new exciting technology. Do you wanna make a game for it? And FromSoft was usually like, heck yeah. So like Eternal Ring was one of the launch titles for the PS2. So I'm sure that's why. Because Age Tech is dead. Age Tech died in like the mid 2000s.
Everybody is very disappointed that Eternal Ring is not in the European PSN.
Is it really not on European PSN?
Apparently not, no. Astral Lace describes the feeling as heckin' bamboozled, which is a phrase that I'm going to steal. So.
Create a US PSN account and buy a...
I don't think...
Yeah.
I don't think you need... I think it's pretty easy to do that stuff. I know creating a Japanese one is pretty easy. So.
Yeah, I have a Japanese account, more or less for free themes, like the Armored Core theme, but yeah. People sell the codes on the Amazons, and it's really easy to just get.